We've had up to 15 people on the stage here before, and we're doing the other end of the spectrum today with a duo, but it's a real dynamic duo that doesn't need any extra help. Each of the concerts that we do here of the Jazz Vespers, I share with the musicians a concept or a theme for them to work with, and it's generally along the lines of music that's going to uplift the soul, music for contemplation, for peace. And I've asked the performers today to share some of their thoughts on the impact of music in their life and the life of others. Sometimes we have a speaker that will deliver a message, but today it's the musicians themselves. I'm reminded of a story that I heard some time ago on NPR. It was an interview with a woman in those dark days immediately following 9/11. And her story was that she was just out for a walk. It was, I think in New York City, was just walking around aimlessly, full of various feelings in a daze. And she ended up going into a music store and bought 5 CDs, all of the music of Johann Sebastian Bach, and realizing that that was the only thing that made sense to her at that time. And that's a powerful message of the healing power of music, the ability of music to uplift, console, inspire, energize, bring joy, bring people closer to God or to other people or just their fellow humans. So I look forward to hearing what our speakers today have to say about that general topic. We have a really excellent group, a duo today. Ron McCarley on saxophones has played here before at our Jazz Vespers. He's the director of jazz studies at Cuesta College, does a terrific job out there with guiding the students, many of who have gone on to impressive careers in music. He's, besides being an excellent musician, he's a heck of a nice guy too. Our other part of the duo is guitarist Bruce Forman, who I've had the pleasure of knowing for longer than I care to admit. But it was 35 years ago that the San Luis Obispo County Jazz Federation brought Bruce and a wonderful pianist, George Cables, as a duo. And so I've been kind of following Bruce for probably 40 years. The authorities have not reached me yet, but Bruce Forman's had about 25 appearances at the Monterey Jazz Festival. He's had nearly that many occasions where he's had recordings as a leader. He's a highly acclaimed teacher at USC, a novelist, a humorist. He's getting ready for another concert tour of New Zealand, and then he'll be back for a short while before he then does a stint in New York City. So we're very fortunate to capture him here on the Central Coast. So please give a warm welcome to the Bruce Forman, Ron McCarley duo.
6th, could you do a duo concert with Bruce Forman? And I want you to talk about, the spiritual aspect of, what music means. And I replied, "This is the best email I've ever received." So I'd like to talk about that kind of thing, and then playing with Bruce is awesome. So thank you.
Yeah. That was mutual, believe me.
That was all me helping that. There's another guest. There, we'll remember the end. Well, welcome everybody. This is, I hope you're having as much fun as we are. At least I am. I won't speak for you. So, you know, I'm a professor and I like to ponder. I'm pathologically contemplative. And so I'm going to try to keep my comments short right now because I could talk about this for too long. But, and I'm going to try to focus my comments in a couple ways. One is, you know, we could talk for years about what music does in the world, you know. Last night somebody read the quote, life without music is really inconceivable, Aaron Copland says. And the thing I like about music, it's kind of like, it's an unconditional gift, really, is what it is. It's like the birthday party that everybody in the class gets invited to, you know, like there's just all kinds of music, everybody comes in from different angles, and everybody has their own music, and it's beautiful that way, you know, it's good that it's all different. But what I want to focus on is how specifically God has used music in my life, and what that journey has been about. And so I'm not going to talk about what it means for society so much, you know. But there's a lot of things, and a lot of really the most important things I think I know about life have come through my journey through music, because that's the way I'm wired up. I don't know how your upbringing was, but in my family, we did not discuss emotion or display emotion. It was very, I don't know if you need to, but probably some of you grew up in homes like that, you know, very scientific almost, you know, feeling. And but music was really the thing that taught me to feel, I think, really, you know, that taught me to kind of interact and understand my feelings a little bit. And one thing that's great about that, and jazz in particular, is that jazz, I think, is really great music for making you connect your feelings with ideas and thoughts, you know, and a lot of, maybe we'll do an example. In jazz, it's this cool note. If you're playing a minor chord, you can play the 11th, we call it, or you could say call it the 4th in other kind of music. So could you play like a D minor chord? You know, just play a D minor chord, and then I'll go, there's that note, you know? And now I'll play like the beginning of it, so I'm going to, you know, and just do like the first bar or something, you know? Make that note feel like something, and if you don't feel like make it feel like something, you're just a bad musician because no one else is going to feel it either, you know. And, so, I mean, I could be accused of this, but you know, that is a great way to be living, because if you don't feel what you know, you usually will probably not be living from that space. Right, and so you are always going to be this conflict of living from what you feel or what you think, and they won't be in unity. You know, but music has helped me unify these different things in my life, and that's been a great thing in my life. You know, I think music is a little bit like stargazing. You know, you go out there and it's all this vast majesty of the universe, and it plays upon you, and there's just certain ideas that can't stand up to that. So, I mean, even certain bad ideas. You know, if I want to go out and say, like, I am just so important, I am just the most important thing ever, and you go out and you look at the vastness of the sky, the stars just kind of look back at you and say, like, who are you? You know, like, what do you mean by important, you know? And, you know, and so it just, you just can't have certain thoughts in the presence of certain kinds of beauty, I think, you know, and so music has been really cool like that for me, and these musical stargazing things have taught me a few things. I'm going to just try to kind of spit them out at you really quickly, because I don't want to take too much time with it. But one thing I think is that I've learned, it took me way too long to learn this, but life just might still be beautiful even if I'm in a bad mood. Right? And just because I'm not in the mood for it doesn't mean that life itself is bad. It just might be my bad mood. Has been huge for me. Another one, beauty and love are just as real as rocks and chemistry and money and time, and they're usually more important than those things. You know, again, growing up in this kind of scientific household, nobody ever questioned if rocks are real, but sometimes you wonder if love and beauty are real. But it's, I'm not going to question the existence of rocks, you know, but, but I definitely would say that it's a little bit absurd to question the existence of beauty and love. These are some of the things we experience first, you know, even before the rocks. Another thing that is, you know, the musical stargazing that has helped me, at the center of the universe is not cold nothingness. The nihilist would say we live in a world preceded by nothing and followed by nothing, and we spend our lives contemplating nothingness between two nothings. Right? That's actually a variation on a quote by Nietzsche, you know. But I think it's really too hard to like really be into the beauty of music and these other things and hold that idea. It doesn't make sense. I really, for me at least, it's impossible to think that it's nothing followed by nothing with nothing in the middle. And you know, play music like that. You know? It's not the same thing. And then the last thing I'll just throw out, and this is way more complicated than I could connect with just my musical journeys, but I'm just going to do it, and you can feel free to disagree. I still respect you if you do, but through my musical journey and what I consider the Holy Spirit, I think God has really shown me Himself, and that the lyrics to this whole hymn that you recognize here are true for me. It's an amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see, you know, and that, to me, it's all mixed up with the music and the things that people learned, and, you know, and I know a lot of you are coming from another place, and that's cool. I don't want to, you know, make you feel awkward, you know, but that's, you know, it is a church Vespers, so here we go. Throw it out, you know. What if I didn't even say anything about this? What if we all, if you want to, you can sing a verse of Amazing Grace right now. Now it'll be the end of everything. Can we do half? Can we keep it? Is that okay? I think it's just a little easier for. Somebody told me there was 10,000 people down there. I don't know how they could fit them all. There's down in the second guards down there, and they had this guy leading the service looks at me and says, "Play something." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I played Amazing Grace, and I did not embellish at all. I just went da 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 da, you know, and 10,000 people all just like super silent in that moment. And so it was just like this thing about like, you know, the power of music. It was just, I played it as simply as I could. I didn't want it to be about my ornaments or anything. And there we all just worked together, just kind of feeling that moment, and it was beautiful, you know. And it really wasn't me at all. It was just, it was just that magic of that moment of us all kind of grieving together and hoping for something. So, okay, so thank you. Just let me say all that. Another really fun thing, I asked Bruce, hey, you should really play a couple of solo guitar pieces. And he said, okay, but you know, you should really play a solo saxophone piece. And I'm like, okay. I wasn't thinking about that, but you know, he was right. And so one of my favorite saxophone players is Joe Henderson, and a brilliant man, you know, and played all kinds of stuff. He actually has a really cool version of this song. It's a duo with him and a drummer, but I'm going to play this solo. It's just Take the Train.
Sound check. Test. Well, what can I say? This is, I'll do my best not to revert into my comedic, insane and inane rants, given the situation we're in. The surrounds, the environment. I will try and not allow that recessive gene to kick in. It's going to be hard, though. Music changed my life. I can just see that transitional moment. I was very young. I played piano and then found the guitar and then found jazz music. But music was so important because it gave me a window, a portal into a world of infinite expression and depth and beauty and meaning and community. And I just think back of all the years in my pursuit of sound, the things I've learned, the people I've met, and the things that were happening all around me that I never would have been aware of. That my life has been so richer for knowing these things. Music is it's also a difficult and demanding taskmaster. She calls on you to practice, and she calls on you to face your fallibility and your inability to reach to the levels you want to go to every day. It's a reminder of how human we all are. And yet, it also shows us how superhuman we all are at the same time. It showed me that, most of all, it gave me an appreciation for the effort of others. You know, when you play and you hear somebody play, you immediately relate to all the love and work and dedication and commitment that went into making that sound, because you know it yourself. And to have an appreciation of that through life of other people and an empathy creates a balance that someone as crazy as me needs. It also showed me that the amount of work in equals productivity out. I spend an hour practicing, I get an hour better. I spend 2 hours practicing, I get 2 hours better. And to really learn that at a very young age, that you want it, you work for it. And the rewards in doing so are really what it's all about. It also taught me responsibility. I play in bands. If I show up and I'm not prepared and everybody else is, I'm letting everybody else down. I'm not doing my part. And I want to have integrity, and I want to achieve the best possible outcome. So it taught me the responsibility of doing that work and seeing the importance of that work. It taught me the importance of paying attention and remembering things. I learned songs. We in jazz, we make this stuff up. We can't be tied to some written piece of thing because we're off in our imagination somewhere. So it taught me to do the work to actually engage my memory and engage in conceptualizing things that are, frankly, not even tangible. I mean, yes, there's symbols on paper, but intervals and chords and notes and rhythms and feelings, they're not on that paper. They're just little symbols to tell you what you might be able to do with those things. I think for me, most of all, it gave me a community. I met so many fantastically brilliant people, unique geniuses who welcomed me into that family of we all are chasing sound. And we're all doing it our own way. In fact, it wasn't encouraged, it was demanded that you find your way in this community and be yourself. And in that, you will find the answer to it all. So, just want to say that music is a metaphor as much as it is a thing. And to show us how we can be our higher selves and how we can express ourselves and actually listen to others through understanding and empathy and contemplation. And I think most of all, I'd just like to say that we really need to embrace the effort as the goal. To stop seeing something on the finish line, but in fact, where we are and what we do in this moment in time, striving for whatever it is we're striving for, be it music or otherwise, that is our human experience and purpose. And the beauty of getting to spend this short period of time here. So that's what music means to me.
last part was inspired by QT.
I was worried. I thought I was going to revive it. Or something.
He's stuck.
You know, your mouth to mouth was just not really working out for me.
I think it's all.
Sure, sure.
Presbyterian Church for hosting this super cool series that they do. Thank you. And no one less than Bruce Forman for being really nice to play with. And thank you, Bruce. All right, we did this, we had a whole concert last night, and Craig and Tony's, that was super cool. And we played this last night too.
We're not going to play the same notes, though. Well, some of them, but in different order.
Last night I played mainly right notes, and so Tommy was right wrong notes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's catching on here. I worked my whole life to play the right notes, and then I found out it's the wrong notes you're supposed to be. It's a metaphor for something. I'm not quite sure. The next sermon.
Yeah.
Thank you.